Saram everyone and welcome once again to Good Morning with Gayatri Mantra. Today it's our opportunity to have with us Dr. N. Shivakumar, who has been with Bhagwan for more than 37 years as a student and later on as a faculty member. He was earlier with the Department of Management Studies and now he is in the Vrindavan campus teaching the students their commerce and management and accounting, and he is someone who is not only engaged in teaching the students the subjects of commerce and accounting and management, but also about how to empower themselves with the power of the Gayatri Mantra. And he has done it not with just one or two individuals or not with just himself, but as the student body as a whole. Earlier we brought you the conversation with the warden of the Sri Satya Sai Higher Secondary School, and I shared with you the experiment that the students of the higher secondary school in Prashant Nilayam have done and what benefit they have received. We have now someone from the Vrindavan campus. So, sir, please tell us your experiments with the student body experiencing the power of the Gayatri Mantra.
Sai Ram to everyone. Thank you, Bishu, and thank you, Radio Sai, for this very wonderful opportunity to talk about the Gayatri Mantra, especially in the morning time. And that's why it becomes a good morning and continues to be a good day itself. The experiment that I had done with regard to the Gayatri Mantra was actually related to one of the subjects that I used to teach, which is actually a very unique part of the facet of the institute curriculum, which we call as the awareness course, in which we teach the students values and how to practice them in their daily life and especially when they become older in their professional lives. This particular awareness course was entitled Eternal Values in a Changing World.
Wow.
And the prescribed book for this was Swami's own Dharma Vahini. And in the Dharma Vahini, in 2 chapters, Swami talks about the importance of chanting of the Gayatri Mantra. And Swami tells its significance in our daily life as well as our spiritual growth.
I think that's very significant. I mean, Dharma Vahini is such a sacred treatise on following the path of righteousness. And in that, Swami himself has written 2 chapters only on the Gayatri Mantra.
Gayatri Mantra.
Wow.
And in order to teach the students the importance, significance and the utility of chanting the Gayatri Mantra and imbibing its essence, with Swami's inspiration, I created this experiment. It's also an activity for the students. It's actually an outdoor activity.
Okay.
So, the classes of normally a size of around 100 to 120 students, and I divide them into groups of around 15 each. And I randomly select one student from each of those groups. And they would come to possibly 7, 6, depending upon the total number of groups. And I would give them a cricket ball at initially and ask them to throw it to a particular distance as per their convenience. And I would have volunteers who would mark the distances that they would have thrown. After that, I would take all the students of that particular group, so that will be 6 to 7 groups. They will all sit in a circle and they would start chanting the Gayatri Mantra with that student who threw the cricket ball in the middle of the circle. And as they chanted the Gayatri Mantra loudly, there would be yet another volunteer who would actually explain to them the significance of chanting the Gayatri Mantra, its meaning and the importance by which the students would understand that the Gayatri Mantra is ultimately the source of all creativity, power as well as energy. And the entire exercise in the circle would culminate with the students doing a visualization exercise, wherein the students sitting in the periphery would visualize that by the chanting of the Gayatri Mantra, they are actually transferring their energy to the student who would be sitting in the middle. And so this entire visualization exercise along with the significance would go on for around 15 minutes or so, and then all the students would come back to the original place where they were seated. And these very same 7 students who originally were asked to throw the cricket ball would be asked once again to do the same thing, but one important thing that you could see in their faces itself was they would be more energized. They would be more vibrant. And I would ask them to throw the cricket ball. Invariably, you would find that they would throw it for a much larger distance.
Wow.
And it has happened to me year after year batch after batch for possibly more than the last, close to last 2 decades.
2 decades.
2 decades.
Successful at every batch.
Every batch.
Wow.
And so I use that to tell the students that if Gayatri Mantram could be so useful even at a physical level of throwing the cricket ball, how much powerful that Gayatri Mantram chanting could be in our own spiritual development.
Wow.
And so I would clarify the special significance of the Gayatri Mantram, as Swami would tell that Gayatri Mantram actually stands for Gayantam Trayate iti Gayatri.
Yes.
Those people who chant the Gayatri Mantram are actually protected by the Gayatri Mantra.
Wow.
And in the, as per our culture, the Gayatri Mantram is supposed to be chanted during the Sandhya time.
Yes.
And that's what was called as Sandhya Vandanam.
Yes.
But Swami has a very unique interpretation of this Sandhya Vandanam. As per the normal Sanskrit understanding, Sandhya Vandanam means Sandhya, that is, Sandhya is essentially a time of unification.
Yes.
So, when the night unifies with the day,
Yes.
and when the morning unifies with the afternoon,
Yes.
and then the afternoon when it goes into the night, that was the 3 Sandhya times. But Swami gave a very different interpretation to this. Swami broke the word Sandhya into Samdhya, Samyak Dhyanam,
Wow.
good meditation. And Swami told to do good meditation,
Anytime is
you
fine.
could do it anytime. And that's why Swami encouraged the students, chant Gayatri anytime. You can chant it while eating, you can chant it while sleeping, you can chant it while bathing, you can chant it while walking,
Playing.
while playing,
Studying.
studying, and Gayatri would give its benefits.
Yeah, wow.
That was the very wonderful impact, and I have afterwards students coming to me and telling that this particular exercise had a deep impact in their life, and when they were in their professional careers at specific crisis times,
Yes.
they have actually chanted the Gayatri Mantram and they have felt its protection, and they
yes.
have felt Swami protecting them.
Wow.
It has been so useful to them.
Amazing, amazing. I think this is something that so many people vouch for. They have felt the power and the protection of the Gayatri Mantra, and you are someone who have seen that year after year.
Yes.
Can I ask you, how did you get initiated into the Gayatri Mantra?
I got initiated into Gayatri Mantra actually at a very young age, possibly when I was in my 3rd, 4th class itself. As a part of our family tradition, I was done the Upanayanam, and so I became a Dvija. And Gayatri Mantram chanting was a part of my daily routine. However, what I saw it as a significance was, which came a few years later, when I was studying for my 7th, 8th class in a place called Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. All of a sudden, a Pandit, a scholar of the Kanchi Mutt, came by himself, was willing to teach me and my father Vedam chanting. So, I remember sitting in his presence for almost every day 1 to 2 hours, and it happened for possibly some 2 to 3 years. It so happened that because of that Vedam chant learning that happened to me, by the time I joined in the Brindavan campus for my 11th class, I had known most of the mantrams that students would normally chant. But I would still like to attribute that to the blessing of the Gayatri Mantra, which started much earlier.
Your journey on the Vedic path started with the initiation of the Gayatri
Mantram. And after I joined the institute and the college at Brindavan in 1982, one of the important ways by which Swami has blessed me, I have got these blessings of Bhagavan, was through Vedam chanting. And it has been an integral part of my journey with Swami in the last close to 37 years. So, Gayatri led me to Vedam chanting, which led me to Brindavan and more close
bountiful of grace.
Bountiful, close encounters and bountiful of grace from Swami.
Yes, wonderful. In fact, I don't know if you have seen, when you mentioned about Sandhya Vandanam and Upanayanam, in the earlier times, how Swami used to initiate children into the Gayatri Mantra. I don't know if you have heard Bhagwan chanting, and if you have seen those videos, or if you have interacted with people, because you are someone who are initiated the Gayatri Mantra so early in life.
I remember this incident so specifically. This was in the year 1984, and Swami had done a mass Upanayanam for all the students, plus some devotees, children in Purnachandra Hall. We do have a video of that also, in which the beautiful thing was Swami went and actually wore the Upanayanam for each of the Vatus.
He put it on.
He himself put it for each of the Vatus. And then Swami later, as a part of the discourse, initiated the entire gathering into the Gayatri Mantra.
He chanted and everyone
He chanted
followed.
and everyone repeated. And that is what today is available, where everybody chants the Gayatri Mantra. However, I remember the original version in which Swami chanted. It was so interesting, in which Swami chanted. Let me chant it for the benefit of everyone. Swami chanted it this way: Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Om. Interestingly, Swami started with the Om and again ended with the Om. Swami did this thrice, and every time Swami started with the Om, ended with the Om. When Swami went to the second chanting, there were actually two Oms, that is starting Om, ending Om, and once again the starting Om.
Okay.
So there were, Swami chanted this, and it was actually for me little bit surprising. Why should Gayatri Om should be chanted both at the beginning as well as at the end of the Gayatri Mantra?
Generally we chant only at the beginning.
Generally we chant only at the beginning. And it was much later when I was interacting with a person who was doing lot of intense sadhana, and I told that this is how Swami used to initiate the children as well as people into chanting Gayatri Mantram. He told me a very interesting facet about this particular type of chanting. He told this type of chanting with the Om at the beginning and Om at the end is actually called, technically is called as the Kumbhaka Gayatri.
Wow.
Wherein they during the first Om at the beginning of the Gayatri Mantram chanting, the breath is taken in. And during the Gayatri Mantram chanting, the breath is retained. And at the end of the Mantram, when again Om is chanted, the breath is released.
Okay.
So when the Gayatri Mantram is being chanted, the breath is retained, which is the Kumbhaka state in the
Kumbhaka, Puraka, Rechaka.
It's in the pranayama, it's the Kumbhaka. And he told that is the highest way of, best way and highest level of chanting the Gayatri Mantram. And Swami had initiated everyone directly into that highest level of chanting the Gayatri Mantram.
No one had any idea, but that is the highest way of chanting.
Highest way of chanting.
You start with the Om and end with the Om.
End with the Om.
And if you can chant it when after you have inhaled with the Om, retain the breath, chant the entire mantra, and then with the Om you exhale your breath.
Exhale the breath.
Wow. Wow.
It was a very interesting revelation to me when I came to know that this is something very unique, and we had been doing this very naturally.
When Swami just gifted it to us, and we had no clue that we had actually got a diamond.
It's true.
Wow. Amazing. So this is how you also initiate now, when you guide boys to chant.
When I asked them to chant, I asked them to chant it this way. Wow. It is, and they enjoy the chanting of the Gayatri Mantram. Wow. All the students, they like the chanting of the Gayatri Mantram, and they feel the energy and they feel the presence. From a physical perspective, scientifically we see that the Gayatri Mantram is actually a prayer to the Lord Sun, and Sun is considered to be the basic source of energy in this earth. But at a much higher level, it is not just the Sun, it is the source of all energy, it's the source of all creativity, and that's how Gayatri Mantram acts as the source of all spiritual development.
Absolutely. In fact, we are recording this at a time when the annual sports and cultural meet just concluded, and you have seen this beautiful tapestry of creativity and color, and one of the ways the boys feel empowered to put up such spectacular performance is these beautiful spiritual practices which have become part of the Sri Sathya Sai system of integral education, and we are so happy that we are recording this on a Makara Sankranti day, when the sun is traveling northward. So let us pray that our direction towards the Lord moves north. We move on the noble path, Godward path, towards a glorious path. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you
for your time.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
तत्सवितु वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यम् भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यम् भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्